Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to bring the Thursday Night Football Showdown slate between the Patriots and the Rams. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos breaking out NBA, NFL, PGA, and esports, daily fantasy sports slates. Before I get into the video, I want to thank you guys again for the continued support. It is greatly appreciated on the videos, live streams, as well as on Twitter. The easiest way to support me, since all the content is free, is to leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload videos, so you know when I go live. Apologies for not being able to live stream for Tuesday night's showdown slate, but I will be live for this one. Also, guys, NBA coming up in a couple days. Friday preseason. I'll have a video for that up soon. Also, I'll be live streaming with that. I will be live streaming for that slate, and I'm going to have a video up for how to win an NBA DFS. That'll be up my channel very soon as well. So a lot of exciting stuff coming out soon. So make sure to subscribe to the channel if you guys enjoy this content. Also, if you cannot watch the videos, I do upload on Apple Podcasts. The link is in the description below, which is the DK DFS show. And finally, I want to thank Prize Picks for sponsoring the show. If you guys are not familiar with Prize Picks, it's a site you can bet on player props. So you're betting over-under on player projections. For example, you have Jared Goff at 19.2. Do you like the over? Do you like the under there? You can pair them for anywhere from 2 to 5 bets and win up to 10x your money. So if you guys are interested in signing up, you can use the code DKDFS. That's all one word. I'll have a link in the description below as well. But yeah, DKDFS, all one word. 100% match up to $100. So if you put $100 in, $200 to play with, I think that's a pretty good deal. You can take a look at it, right? They have a good amount already posted here for the Thursday night slate. So that's it for the intro. Let's get into the video. Before we talk about the players and the prices for the showdown slate, let's take a look at. First let's look back at how we did Tuesday. So Tuesday. It is very important to follow me on Twitter, guys. Again, unfortunately, I wasn't able to live stream. But we got news that Dez Bryant was out probably 30 minutes before lock. So gave you guys the news. Obviously Miles Boykin is going to work in his number 3 receiver. He came in at 6% ownership at a touchdown. I know they won a good amount of people some money. A couple people took down tournaments. $5 into over 400. Congrats, David. And Michael, I know you've been on a hot streak as well. He took down, I think it was the big tournament, the 500K to first, tied with a bunch of people. But yeah, $48 and $18,000. It was a really good night for a lot of the viewers. And then I don't talk about this a lot, but there was, when Dez got ruled out, I took a look at player props because I was interested to see what it was going to be for Miles Boykin. And they had the over-under at 9.5. I just felt like that was way too low, plus 110 as well, just because I knew he was going to be out there majority of the game, right? And all you really needed was one catch. Now, all he got was one catch. He got targeted more than that, but it was a nice night for me over there as well. So yeah, that's why, again, guys, it's important to hit me up or follow me on Twitter. Make sure you don't miss this breaking news. But all right, enough of that. Let's talk about this slate. And yeah, we have a 44.5 over under. The Rams are 5.5 point favorites. So let's take a look at the snap counts for each of these teams in their most recent game. So last week for New England, it was kind of a 3-headed monster there, but that was when they won 45-0. Damian Harris 49% of the snaps, Sony Michel 33%, James White 28%. But I think Sony Michel got a little bit more work there because of the blowout. If we go back 1 week. Let's go to week 12, right? That was a closer game and kind of see how the snaps were distributed. Well, it was Damian Harris 64%, James White 38%, and one snap for Sony Michel. So what I expect here for the Patriots is I expect Damian Harris to be the early down back, right? And I expect James White to be the pass catching back, no longer competing with Rex Burkhead. I expect maybe a couple touches from Sony Michel, but not a ton. So that's what I'm kind of looking for, or expecting, I should say, for this for on Thursday. Wide receivers for the Patriots in the most recent game, Jacoby Myers played 84% of the snaps. Damiere Byrd, 78%. Damiere Byrd is really cheap on the slate. Again, we'll get to him, but he's under $1,000 for a starting receiver that's going to play a majority of the game. I think that's way underpriced. N'Keal Harry's 51, played 51% of the snaps. And then the newcomer, Dante Moncrief, played 22%. Tight ends for the Patriots. Well, we know the tight ends, or the Patriots don't really like going to their tight ends, right? Izzo, 64% of snaps. Keen, 34%. But again, they really don't throw to them much. Running backs for LA, for the Rams, well, we know Cam Akers kind of took over in that last game. He played 63% of snaps. He had over 20 carries. Snaps and touches went way down on Henderson and Malcolm Brown. But can we trust this? I don't know. It's Sean McVay is one of the coaches I do not trust one bit. So sure, it looks good for Akers, but we don't know for sure he's going to be like the bell cow back this game. So, and he's kind of priced up. I'm a little bit weary about that one. I think he is their most talented back, but I'm not fully convinced that he is just going to be their lead guy. Wide receivers for the Rams, well, kind of interesting last week. So Woods and Kupp played 75 and 65% of snaps respectively. That's down from what they usually play. Normally those guys are around the 90% range. Jefferson played about half the game, and same with Josh Reynolds. So that was a little bit weird because if you go back one game, let's see. Jefferson did not play, right? It was Kupp, Reynolds, Woods basically playing the entire game. And then you go back to week 11, and you guys can check this out yourselves, but Woods 94%, Reynolds 90%, Kupp 72%, Jefferson 6%. So Jefferson's snaps kind of came out of nowhere. So can we feel confident about that? I mean, it does make him more viable, but I still don't fully trust McVay. He's one of those coaches. He's one of the couple coaches in the NFL I just have zero trust in. Tight ends for the Rams, Higbee and Everett are going to be out the majority of the game. Higbee 84% of snaps last game, Everett 72%. Both are involved in the pass game, and both are viable, cheaper options on this slate. So that's it for the Vegas odds and the taking a look at the snap count. So now let's go to the player-by-player breakdown. So at the top, we have Jared Goff at 11K. Threw the ball 47 times last game against Arizona. That was good to see. Last four games, pass attempts for him, 37, 51, 31, and 47 pass attempts. He's been a little bit up and down. The floor is somewhat low with Jared Goff. At 11K, I don't think that's a terrible price. I think it's about right. For a quarterback with the Rams being 5.5 point favorites. So as always, guys, for cash games, I recommend getting both quarterbacks in there like I did for the Tuesday night slate, right? I told you guys, I told you to play Lamar at captain. Hopefully a lot of you guys did. Again, I know a lot of you did. He was over 90% owned, but I think only 30-ish% in the captain. So do you play Jared Goff in the captain in cash? I don't think you have to, but I definitely think I would play or would try to get both quarterbacks in for cash, which is normally my strategy. And I think I'm going to try to do that once again if you are playing cash games. I mean, I don't really play cash in the slate, but I know a lot of you guys do, and you like the advice for cash. So, Goff is definitely someone to look to for safety, right? Quarterbacks we know have the highest floor on these showdown sites. Cam Newton's at 10-6. So, frustrating part here with the Patriots, as I always say, is if they're playing from ahead, they're just not going to throw the ball. He threw the ball 19 times. They won 45-0. The game against Arizona, they were playing from ahead. He threw the ball 18 times. Game against Houston, they fell behind. He threw the ball 40 times. So it's really all over the place with Cam Newton, right? If you look at his game logs and just look at the pass attempts, 19, 44, 28, 25, 15, 25, 35, 17, 40, 18, 19, right? So what you kind of need from Cam Newton if you want him to pay off the salary is I think you need the Patriots to fall behind. Now, sure, he can run one in if they're playing from ahead, and that's the positive with Cam Newton is the rushing upside, right? Last couple games, 46, 48 yards in the ground. 2 touchdowns in the ground last game, too. So he has that type of ability. So I do like Cam Newton, but there is some risk involved, right? Because the Patriots, if they do get off to an early lead, it's going to be a heavy dose of the ground game. Now, Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods at 9.6 and 9.2K. I like them both. I like them both a good amount. If you're not playing both quarterbacks, you can look to get both Kupp and Woods in the same lineup together, just because both these guys have a pretty high floor. I know a couple floor games here from Kupp and Woods, but normally they're guys you can expect double-digit fantasy points and have upside for 25 to 30 fantasy points. What you're going to get out of Cooper Kupp is, a high volume target share, right? Last 4 games, 7, 13, 5, and 9 targets. So averaging about nine targets a game. He had that crazy 20 target game against Miami. So when him and Woods are priced about the same, I usually give the edge to Kupp, but we've seen Kupp a lot higher owned than Woods, right? If you just look at the main slate last week, right? Kupp and Woods are basically identical prices, and Kupp was the absolute chalk, whereas Woods was way, way under-owned. So if that's going to be the same case for this slate, if Robert Woods is going to be like half the ownership of Cooper Kupp, then you're going to want to take the lower-owned guy in Robert Woods, right? Both have upside. Woods last 3 games, 15, 12, and 11 targets. So it's not like he doesn't possess upside. 33, 15, and 18 fantasy points. It always just seems Kupp comes in a little higher ownership. I do like both. I think you can play both if you want to. And those are the 2 wide receivers I have the most confidence in this slate with Kupp and Woods. Damian Harris at 8.8K. So not as excited about this play. The reason being, no involvement in the passing game. That's James White's role. And I still think Sony Michel will probably get a couple touches. So what you kind of need from Damian Harris here is you need the Patriots to be playing from ahead, or you need for him to get a couple touchdowns. At 8.8, I mean, it just feels a little bit too much. So yeah, right now he's just more of a contrarian play at that price point. Also, again, the matchup against the Rams is terrible, right? Rams really stout against the run. So Damian Harris is someone that I'm probably not going to get to. Again, I only play one lineup on these slates, but yeah, I'm not as excited there. Cam Akers at 8K. Again, I'm going to pump the brakes here. I know he had over 20 carries, and that was the first time we've really seen a Rams back get the bell cow type role, right? But they still have Henderson. They still have Brown. They're healthy, and we've seen this before with the Rams, right? We saw it. I think one of these games early on, Cam Akers was fully healthy. They said they were going to give him more touches after I think he had 9 carries, and then he came out and didn't play. So, there's no guarantee he's going to get anywhere close to 21 rush attempts. It is good to see, but like I said, I'm a little bit hesitant here just because it's McVay, and it's really hard to trust him. And at 8K, if they go back to a pretty even three-way split, then that's just way too pricey for a guy like Cam Akers. Henderson at 7.4, in my opinion, that's just way too expensive for a guy that the snaps went way down on, only had 3 carries the last game. There's no way, personally, I'm getting into Henderson at that price. Jacoby Myers at 6.8, so not looking like Edelman's going to come back for this game, right? They still said a couple weeks, and that was a few days ago. So do not expect Edelman to play in this one. So Jacoby Myers still should be their number 1 receiver, but again, they haven't been throwing the ball. Now, in games that they fall behind, again, that's where I think Myers has some upside. So I think he's a fine play at this price point, but what you kind of need Jacoby Myers is I think you need them to fall behind. If the Rams get off to an early lead, say the Rams start this game off 14-0, then you could realistically see a pretty big upside game from either Cam or Jacoby Myers or both. So, yeah, like them, but I do prefer the price on Bird. We'll talk about him. Bird is, their number 2 receiver, and he's under $1,000. I just think that's a misprice on DraftKings' part. James White at 6.4, so again, not as excited here. I would rather play James White than Damian Harris just because he's their pass-catching back, and this is a game, they're 5.5-point dogs. You would assume they're probably going to be playing from behind, but you never know. So if I'm going to play Patriots back, it's going to be White over Damian Harris. But really, at their respective prices, they're still just both are overpriced, especially Damian Harris. James White is still overpriced. I could see him getting you there if they do fall behind, right? Because he will be utilized a good amount if they do. So, yeah, White's in play, but again, I think he's a little bit pricey as well. Josh Reynolds at 5.6, so it's concerning. The snaps went way down in him that last game, right? He was a guy 80-90% of the snaps basically playing this year. And then if we look at the last game, right, only 46%. Van Jefferson actually outsnapped him. So that's, again, not great to see for a guy at 5.6. Now, could things change? Could they go back to just the 3 wide receivers and Van Jefferson plays very little? They could. But again, I'm still... Reynolds is a guy that I'm not as excited about either. Now, with Higbee at 5K, Everett at 3.4. Once again, I'm going to prefer Everett, right? Both tight ends will play a good amount. Both are targeted, or both will be targeted a good amount. But we have Everett for what, $1,600 cheaper. I'll take the discount on Everett. Right? Both guys have been getting a healthy amount of targets, and 3-4 price for Everett, $5K price for Higbee. Again, that's just a price point thing. Now, I do think, again, if you're taking ownership into consideration, right, that Gerald Everett will be higher owned because he's cheaper. So if you want to take that into consideration and try to get a little bit contrarian, I think Higbee will come in a little bit lower owned. But if we're talking optimal plays, right, I would rather have Everett than Higbee for the discount. Now, Sony Michel's at 4.8. I know he had 10 carries at last game, but do I trust him to be a regular part of this rotation? Not necessarily, right? Because his first game back, he had like one snap. This game, he did have 10 carries, but they won 45-0. So I'm not fully convinced that Sony Michel is going to be a major piece in this offense. He is the cheapest of the bunch, but yeah, really all the Patriots backs, in my opinion, are overpriced. If I had to pick one, it would be James White at his current price. Now, with the defenses, we have the Rams at 4.4, Patriots at 4.2, a little bit more viable, right? We've seen some outrageous prices on these showdown sites, some defenses over like 7K. 4.4 is definitely doable. Patriots, as an offense, again, they're very up and down. Rams defense has been really solid. If you just look at the last 4 games, 15, 5, 15, and 11 fantasy points. So, yes, they're in consideration. Am I going to play them for my one single lineup? Probably not, but they're definitely more in play. And same thing with the Patriots, right? Patriots defense has been pretty solid. Now, 31 fantasy points, that's more of an outlier, but this Rams offense is also like a little bit up and down. So you can consider both defenses. For me, I think the Rams are probably the better play if you're going to make me pick one of those defenses. But both, yeah, at 4.4 and 4.2, they're not out of play. With the kickers, yeah, no real strong take here in the kickers, to be honest. So 4K, 3.8K are fair enough prices. We know kickers can have upside, right? We've seen kickers get to like 15 fantasy points. And we talked about Gerald Everett. I would prefer him to Higbee. Now, Van Jefferson Jr. is at 2.6. So do you trust McVay? Again, I don't. So it's good to see that he played like half the game the last game, but will that happen again for this game? Not fully convinced either. Now, he's cheaper, right? He's at 2.6. I would rather take a shot on a guy like Van Jefferson than a guy like Cam Akers, right? Because Cam Akers is, 8K? Van Jefferson's at 2.6. So if things go wrong and he only plays, 20% of the snaps, he could probably still get you there at this price. Whereas Cam Akers, if it goes to pretty even 3-way split for the Rams running backs, there's very, very little chance he's going to get you there. Malcolm Brown's at 2.4. So, again, snaps went way down in him the last game. He played the least out of the bunch. If we go to the Rams and the running backs, he played 16%. Now, he's been, their pass catching back. I guess they're not really targeting the backs a ton out of the backfield, but he's the guy that has had the most success, with catching the football. Did have one catch for 30 yards that last game. At 2.4, I think he's fine, but not really someone I'm prioritizing on this slate. N'Keal Harry's at 1.8K. So he was utilized as the number 3 receiver here for the Patriots. If we go to the Patriots and their wide receivers, again, Myers 84%, Bird 78%, Harry 51% the last game. So, yeah, I think, he had that game early against Seattle where at 8 catches and 12 targets. He's been a little bit banged up this year. He's working as the number 3 receiver at 1.8. I think it's doable, but I would prefer the price on Bird for a little bit less. Izzo's at 1.4. He was listed as a limited participant in practice. Again, the Patriots today don't really go to their tight end. So if you want to take a dart throw on him, fine, but he'll probably only have one or two targets, and you really need him to score. So yeah, Damiere Byrd at $800. I just think that's way too cheap, right? For a guy that is going to be at the majority of the game. Sure, he only had 2 catches and 3 targets the last game, but they didn't have to throw the ball. Now, previous games, 9, 7, 8 targets. So yeah, at $800, he's the best value on the slate. So yeah, I just think DraftKings, that is just a mispricing for sure. Dante Moncrief was worked as the number 4 receiver. Don't expect a ton from him at $600. I would much prefer Bird at a similar price. Don't play Isaiah Ford. He is no longer on the team. So, and then I think that's really it. Like Dalton Keene is their backup tight end, but really, again, Patriots, they're not looking to the tight ends at all in the passing game. Again, we know Burkhead's on the IR. That's why it makes White more viable. So that's really it for the player-by-player breakdown, guys. So let's talk about cash games again. And for cash, I think my strategy would be, probably try to get both quarterbacks and one of those top receivers with Kupp or Woods. So with the captain, I think you can go a couple different ways. I think you can go either quarterback, or I think you can go one of Kupp or Woods. So however you want to play it, right? So say you want to go Cooper Kupp in the captain. And then I think, again, I would play both quarterbacks. That leaves you 4.6K remaining. There's enough value we've gone over. So that's the strategy for cash for me, right? I would play both the quarterbacks plus one of the top receivers and then go value from there. And for GPPs, we know, again, 75% of the time or so, the winning lineup has either a running back or a wide receiver in it. So guys I'm considering in the captain for GPPs. Well, I'm still considering Cam in the captain for GPPs, like I said with Lamar last video, right? Because of the rushing upside. So Cam is a guy that I think you can go to in the captain spot because of his rushing ability, right? We could see him run in a couple scores. And if that's the case, you're probably going to need him in captain. So yeah, Cam is definitely someone I'm looking to. Obviously, Kupp and Woods. Like, those are the two guys. Cam plus Kupp and Woods are the guys I feel the most comfortable with at captain. But if you want to get contrarian, there is a couple different ways I think you can go. With the Rams running backs, again, I'm not fully convinced Cam Akers is going to be the guy, so I'm probably going to stay away there. Myers is someone you can look to it would be 10-2 in the captain. I believe, 6-8 in the flex. I think he's fine, but what you kind of need there is the Patriots to fall behind. I guess you can consider James White in the captain just because of his PPR ability, but there's really not a ton. Like, with Higbee and Everett, that's probably a little bit, I don't think I get to either of them in the captain. You can make the argument here for Damiere Byrd in the captain because he's a guy that has flashed some upside, right? He's had couple games, close to 100 yards, 72 yards, 80 yards. He had the game 132 yards. So, again, $800, that would open up. So I think you can make the argument to play Damiere Byrd in the captain. If you do that, that leaves you 9.7K remaining. From there, you can just jam in whoever else you want. So you go Goff, you go Cam, you can go Kupp and Woods, right? And then 8.4K remaining. So you can literally get whoever you want into your lineup if you play Damiere Byrd, the captain. That is one option. But yeah, I think for optimal lineups, guys, it would be one of either Goff or Newton or Kupp or Woods that I would go to. And again, for cash games, I would play both quarterbacks and I would play one of Kupp or Woods. But I think that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. So if you have been enjoying the content so far, I'd really appreciate it if you leave the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't upload videos you know when I go live. Again, I will be live streaming 30 minutes before lock on my YouTube channel on Thursday, so make sure to check out the live stream, guys. We'll go over all the breaking news if there is any, and then talk about more builds as well and answer all your guys' questions. Again, guys, a ton of exciting stuff coming up here with NBA preseason on Friday. So super excited. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you do enjoy the content. But thanks again. I hope you guys all have a great day, and I will see you all later.